to the Funny Thing Is podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Birch, where every week we bring someone who shares a life-changing event, the medicine they took to get better, and the funniest lesson they learned along the way. Today, I have a very special guest. She is a nationally touring comedian, and she has a podcast called Coffee Talk. Tara Cannistraci.
I like you trying to do my accent. Thank you for having me.
It's with a W too, right?
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
that's perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I know. We met through a group of comedians that get together and share all of our juicy details and stories and stuff like that. And
I always say it takes a village to raise a comic.
When
so
I
we're
got,
like,
it honestly does.
We need the community. Yeah.
And all the stuff I've learned from everybody on there, what a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Cool stuff.
Okay, so what is a life-changing event you'd like to share?
So life-changing event that I'd like to share is something called an ovarytorsion.
Okay.
And essentially it's when your ovary, your organ flipped inside my body.
What causes that?
Okay.
Yeah,
so
go
there's
through
like
it.
a whole bunch of things. So like to make a short story even longer than for the podcast purpose, I was like getting severe pain on the left side of my body for like on and off for a couple months. And the doctors were like, "Oh, you had a cyst burst."
Yeah.
They like they gave me an ultrasound. They said that like one of the tubes definitely looked smaller than the right side, and that just meant that there was fluid from the cyst that was bursting.
Okay.
You know. That's about all they give you, a pat on the back, and it's like, all right, lady,
go on your way.
Go deal with it now.
Yeah.
Go function and work. And so it had happened like twice. And so the third time it happened, I was home on a Friday night by myself. And I lived by myself. And I felt the pain. And I said, oh God, this is that cyst that must be bursting again. I was like, let me go to bed and hopefully I can sleep off the pain. Cause it's like, it was severe. Had it been on my right side initially, the pain was so bad, I would have thought it was like my appendix or
bursting.
something.
Right.
So there I am, laying in bed, and I'm like, no, there's something not right here. And I'm like, do I call 911? Like,
right.
I don't know what to do. Like, I'm in so much pain. What if I'm calling just for cramps? Like, I think they make you feel like,
oh my gosh.
Like it's just like,
I don't want to be a bother.
I don't
what if
I'm
wrong?
I'm just this woman with pain,
Right.
Oh my gosh, she came in, she called 911 for cramps. Like, I don't want to be the girl, that calls 911 for cramps.
Right.
And so there I am. I'm in like this little tank top and sweat and like pant, like I'll never forget. It's important to the story later on, and like these tight sweatpants. And all of a sudden I'm like, no, I can't. Like I can't breathe. The pain is so bad. And then I started vomiting. And what I didn't know was it was because there was blood backing up. Because when you have an ovary torsion, what happened was I did have a cyst. And the cyst was not bursting like they told me. It was just getting bigger and bigger.
Oh my God.
And the bigger it got, it eventually coiled the entire fallopian tube like around the organ and it flipped it. So the backup was like blood. I was like throwing up, like I was dying on my bathroom floor, but didn't want to be, a girl about it.
Didn't want to be a problem.
Yeah. And call 911. So finally I'm like, no, there's something. So I dial 911. I smart enough to unlock my door because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to be. Full transparency. I was throwing up at the same time I was like peeing.
Were you throwing up blood? Too?
It was like.
Yeah.
It was like I knew it was something not right.
Oh,
like I was like, I don't know what's happening.
It's a different color.
And then here I am, I'm like peeing because you like almost can't control. It's so severe, and like it was like my body was ridding itself of like everything. It literally just broke down.
Yeah.
And I'm like laying there, and I'm like there are cops. I hear the cops come in because I called 911. They arrived before the ambulance, and at this point, Nicole, I am like nonverbal. They're like asking me. They're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I'm laying there, and I'm like, like I'm literally like making these noises and holding, and they're like, are you on drugs? Like God knows what I look like, vomit. And they're like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, and so like I'll never forget. I hear one cop. I remember there was a female cop and a male cop, and I hear the male cop going, I got her Uggs. Like, I guess they were trying to trust me. I found her wallet because they were like trying to put clothes on me because now it's like late October. It's like midnight. And the the female cop grabs my wallet and calls my license, and I'm like, they're like, what's your name? What? And I'm like, I can't answer them, and all I hear her go is, I have a 33-year-old white female, and I'm like, 32. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna die 1 year motherfucking older right now. Oh, can I curse? Because I didn't
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not dying older right now. Like in piss in a wife beater, which I get canceled for even saying that. But one of those really tight white tank tops, no bra. Like, this is not how it's going down for me, you know. And they're like, they kind of laugh because they're like, she's correcting her age, and I'm like, I'm like, I could not concentrate. Like, the pain was so bad. I'm like, get me out.
Right.
So they took me to, thank God, a wonderful hospital. I'll never forget the doctor's name. The guy's doctor's name was Dr. Corey. When I got to the hospital, they explained to me that what had happened, they were giving me intravenous like morphine at that point, and I was like, stop, it's not working. Like,
Oh, girl.
the pain was so bad that I was like, I don't, like, stop even giving me the drugs. Like, what do I have to do? And they were like, basically, we're going to have to remove your ovary because it's, you know, it's been twisted. The organ hasn't, you know, received blood in a while.
Right.
Because it had flipped so many hours before. But I was just sitting there
Yeah.
in my house.
Wondering if you should go in.
Whether I should just sleep it off or not.
Yeah.
And and I remember at the time, Nicole, you know it, because the industry, here I am, I'm 32, and I'm like, I don't want kids.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want them, at least in my 30s. I am pursuing this career in comedy, and I
Right.
just didn't want anything else to get in the way.
Yeah.
But when they tell you they're removing your ovary, as a woman, it was just like, first of all, it felt so intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, but I still want options. Like,
Right.
I felt like, and I had no choice at the time, you know, and I just remember being like, okay. And I remember crying and being like, can I call someone? Like, I have to call my parents. Like, nobody even knows I'm in this hospital. I'm going in for surgery. So I signed it over, and then they made me wait in that hospital because a baby was being delivered and the doctor on call couldn't perform my surgery. So out of an emergency, they woke up this doctor. It was like, he's a godsend. His name was Dr. Corey. He came in at 4 a.m. because I still hadn't been seen. And he performed my surgery.
Oh my
and he
gosh.
went into my parents. I think I was in surgery for about an hour and a half at this point. And he said, I'm keeping her under longer. She's 32 years old. I'm going to try and see if I can salvage the organ and get blood to it in enough time.
Wow.
If it starts looking like it's functioning, I'm going to
Leave it.
Okay. And so
Repair it.
he did that. I had the surgery done. He salvaged the organ.
Oh my gosh.
And I ended up getting 2 eggs out of it when I ended up doing egg freezing after that, you know. So I got something from it, and I'll just never forget laying there, waking up, and then being like, "We have to get you out. There's a storm coming." It was the Sandy storm.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, "What's like?" I'm like in recovery, and they're like telling me like, "We gotta, you know, you got to get out. You got to go." And I was like, it was just like this moment in time. It's like I had just decided to leave a job. I had just gone through a breakup. I'm in this, and I'll never forget being home by myself. Just like, thinking, is this bottom? Is this the lowest of the low? Like, really, because so many questions came about, like the not wanting kids and the wanting to pursue comedy. And it was like, I gotta get started.
Yeah.
Like,
they all crashed together.
Something's got to change for me. And it took about 6 months, but I got back up on stage.
Right.
And it was a game changer. It was definitely a life-changing event, because I think sometimes you have to go through the like do or die. Like, you have to make the decision. I'm a pretty indecisive person. So it's like, for me, it was like, after that, I was like, okay, I don't want kids, but I want the option. I know I want the option.
Right.
So then I went and I pursued egg freezing, which is something I talk openly about. And I look into now, I just did a podcast recently that gives women options to do it more affordable, because I mean,
it's outrageous.
If you didn't have the money, like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no insurance for this.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely insane.
Right. Now, why would you say that you didn't perform for 6 months? the
It was
trauma
just
of
a
it.
matter of me, like, I had done it, I had stopped from my job, I knew I wanted to go back to it, but I didn't.
Got it.
So it was just a matter of, like, lighting a fire under my ass, getting my head straight,
Hmm.
and then being like, "What do I wanna do? Like, what exactly is the goal here?"
Yeah, I think like we talked a little bit about this, like the women's health aspect. I looked up some numbers, and 80% of pain for women, they give them sedatives instead of giving them pain relief. Where if it was a man, they would 100% give them pain relief. They just give us sedatives.
Oh, if it was a guy who went through what I did, the Sandy storm, he'd be in ICU. Like, they would, and that's just the reality.
It
They'd be
is.
getting all the drugs and,
Oh yeah.
it's like, get up.
I had this. So when I've told this story before, but when I gave birth to my daughter, the epidural stopped working after 45 minutes, and I still pushed for a total of 4 hours and 20 minutes. She comes out. They have to manually stitch a 2nd-degree tear with no epidural. Then they can't find out where the blood's coming from, so they have to stitch my ripped uterus, which means the doctor has her entire elbow inside.
Mhm.
Stitching that manually, I can feel every bit of it. Then after that, and you're leaving with a dinner-sized plate, basically is what you're leaving with. And they didn't even prescribe me like an 800 milligram Tylenol. But my husband called the other day to his dentist and he says, I have a toothache. The dentist goes, I can't get you in for 3 days. So because I don't want you to leave as a client, I'm going to go ahead and prescribe you
Yeah.
a strong ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on, dude?
Mhm.
Like, this is why we choose the bear. This is why we slip antifreeze into your Gatorades, guys. This is what it is. It's insane.
It's insane. Like, I remember being there and being like, there's no and my mother had to leave because we had my grandmother who had dementia at the time, and she had to run to her during the storm. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was going to ask where your parents were. Yeah.
What is happening right now? Like,
And to go through it alone, it's
it
so
was,
isolating.
yeah, it was. I had a friend come, I'll never forget. She bathed me. This girl, she did it all. That's why I say no matter what you go through in life, I don't care if you just have a few of them, your quality girlfriends are all you really need till the end. I always think you're going to die alone. I was like, no, my girlfriends make sure I have a manicure, a pedicure. Like, I could be laying comatose and I'm going to be taken care of.
They know exactly
what
how
to
you
do.
want. Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, this is.
Yeah. Well, and what you said, how you were misdiagnosed at first, women are 7 times more likely to be misdiagnosed. And this is interesting, a very specific study, 7 times more likely to be misdiagnosed and discharged while having a heart attack. Is that unbelievable? While they're having a heart attack. That's insane because all the studies have been done on men.
Yeah.
So like when they say the arm goes, the jaw, the whatever, women are more in their back and their shoulders, I guess. I mean, it's all different.
My girlfriend was in her shoulder.
Yeah.
Her heart attack, and she went to the hospital and waited in the waiting room while she was having a heart attack.
See, this stuff freaks me out.
And it was they call it the widowmaker because it's most common in men.
I had a friend's brother who died from that.
That's insane. And but she waited in the waiting room through her heart attack, and
unbelievable. I can't. That pisses me off. Yeah, 80% of the pain studies are all done on men too. And I remember recently, I was having a panic. I had one panic attack like 10 years ago, and it was just my heart raced. I didn't know what it was. And then a couple months ago, I couldn't breathe, and I was having heart palpitations, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And it got so severe that I was like, "I'm going to the ER." And for it to get to the point where I go to the ER, it's pretty bad. So they hooked me up to every machine. I think I start to calm down. The doctor, he was lovely. And I go, I'm so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed that I came in. He goes, you definitely have a rapid heartbeat and it's kind of irregular, but for the most part, it looks like anxiety. It looks like whatever. And it could also be perimenopause, which I found out because a female nurse came up to me and said, it's perimenopause.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Somebody who, and she only knows because she's gone through it.
Yeah.
And the male doctor was at least so lovely because at the end they're like, we suggest maybe therapy and meditation and blah, blah. I'm like, I have a therapist. But I go, I'm so embarrassed. And he goes, let me be very clear. If you ever worry, I want you to come here.
That
I
was
never
nice.
want you
Yeah,
to
yeah.
think about not doing it. It's because of our healthcare system. It's because how you've been taught that you shouldn't until it's absolutely necessary. And because it's also the US.
Mhm.
It's everything's so expensive that you only go if you're like dying.
Yeah.
He goes, I want you to know you can come in anytime. It was still left. And he's like, I'm putting you on a heart monitor for like 2 weeks. And he did that. And the heart monitor was like, yeah, you're
You're fine.
basically, yeah, you're
Yeah.
fine. But
I mean, it's great that he was that
it's great that he
thorough.
said that
Yeah.
because I'm sure a lot of other doctors would have been like, well, the main doctor who came to check on me, he was just kind of like, yeah, I've ran all your panels. You're fine. And was kind of dismissive. And I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
and it's perimenopause. Like, then we had my hormones checked in. It's perimenopause.
And they don't, even if you go to get like, I've gone for like panels regular, like your hormones are fine. I was like losing my hair and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, there's definitely something wrong with
Mhm.
my hormones.
Yeah.
And the quick fix for like, oh, we'll just put you on birth control or we'll put you on this or you put you on Lexapro 2 weeks before your period or
Oh,
because I have like
no.
PMDD, which
Yeah.
is like PMS on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
And it just like all the answers to all of these questions. Had I been a little bit more informed of what could have been going on in my body, like could the cyst have been removed prior to? Yes, I would have had to have surgery.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been. Had I
catastrophic.
not called 911, what would have happened?
Yeah.
So it's like the level of like staying informed and being informed is so limited. And when you go into the hospital or to a doctor, they usually like, well, it's probably
Right.
this. I just had it's not my story to share, but I just had a best friend who my age, high risk pregnancy, went into 3 NICU hospitals saying, I'm feeling pain. And they told her, your uterus is stretching or this is happening or you have gas.
Oh, okay.
She's a 45-year-old woman, high risk pregnancy through IVF, her last egg, and not one doctor out of 3 NICU hospitals. She purposely went to 3 different NICU hospitals thinking NICU would have the best care for her. Nobody gave her an ultrasound. Nobody gave her a physical exam.
What
nobody detected was that she was going into early labor, and what she really needed was the stitch that they give, which is to keep the baby in, and instead she had to go through labor and give birth to a stillborn baby for
Oh my
because
God.
the baby could not survive out of womb.
Yeah.
And
Oh
22
my
weeks
God.
pregnant, and like,
and that's
it's
the thing
like-
you think, and I've heard like for the ER, if you go in pregnant, like that's the first, they get precedent. And the fact that that's 3 NICUs.
3 different hospitals where she was told she was dramatic or, her uterus was
Gas.
stretching or like she's in pain. And I'm like, and like the anger that comes associated to now picture her husband who's like, he told her at one point, babe, it's 5 doctors. They can't all be wrong.
Fuck
to him being
me.
like, I didn't listen to my wife. I didn't
Now he
protect her and
feels
my
guilty.
kid.
Oh
To
my
her being
God.
like, did I advocate hard enough for the life of my
Do they have
child?
a lawsuit?
Oh, I got her a lawyer immediately. It was one of those things. I couldn't sleep for like 2 days. I'm watching the news, and it was like the whole thing came up with this doctor this lawyer who was like not far from us, and I was like, call this guy. Like they took her case like immediately. She wants policy changed. She wants like if you're pregnant, like her husband wants licenses. They're protected by so much insurance. They're gonna throw money at it. But she's like, no, I want policy. Like I want no woman to go into the hospital and not be able to receive the care that they need.
That's unbelievable.
So it's like you have to be an advocate we know this to begin with, like, but like if you're a woman, you really need to be an advocate for yourself because even now, like when I go to fertility doctors, like the conversation from across the table is so, it just like, I am definitely somebody they don't like to sit across from because like I had this one doctor just be like, let me tell you what your odds are. And then they give me that paper, Nicole. And he's just like a pre-printed paper. He's like, well, these are your odds of having a baby at this age. And I was like, is my name on that paper? Like, did you just do my blood work and I didn't realize? Did you give me an ultrasound?
Stats,
or did you just read me the stats because you're a teaching hospital facility? And so like that, and I was like, listen, I'm here. Let me explain to you what you are. Like, this is how I go. And I'm like, you are a vessel of information, doctor. I make my best decisions when I am informed.
Right.
I said, so what I need you to do or run this can you run these tests? And he's like, yes. I said, great. I'm going to go put a quarter in the meter. I'm going to come back. We're going to run these tests. And then I'm going to take that information. I said, I'm going to then decide, because it's going to be my body and my choice and my money, what I'm going to do with that. And hopefully I will be sitting across from a female doctor at that point. Because I don't, and he's just like, because I'm past the point of caring,
Right.
where then I'll make the decision about what I want to do.
Right.
I said, so all you really I said, does it make a difference with you or the guy sitting next to me, referring to my husband, has to say? Like, at the end of the day, I have to make the decision.
Right.
I need to know what's going on with me. And like, he gave me, the exam. And of course he's like, may I remind you that it's going to look different than it did when you went. I'm like, yes, please keep reminding me of my age the entire time.
You're
like
I'm not fucking self-aware.
Like, I'm not aware,
enough,
right?
dude.
Like, I didn't just go dye my hair. I'm like, shut up. And then like, I'll never forget. I was like, can you go to my right side? That's like my overachieving child. Like, that's the one that does really well. And he's just like counting, and he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I go, oh my, doctor,
that's
10
crazy.
follicles?
That sounds like a lot.
That's so many. Is that typical for a woman my age? She's like, no, Tara, it isn't. I'm like, well, if you go over to my left side, you'll see that's my like redheaded stepchild. No offense to your redheaded husband. And that one is going to have performed much lower, and I still had 2 follicles. So
Girl,
then he ran my
hell
blood work.
yes.
He had the nurse call me, and she was like, I have a message from the doctor. I'm like, did he not want to speak with me himself? I was like, does he hate me? She goes, no. She goes, I think you shocked him. My AMH level was almost exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. He's like, just let her know if anybody could have a baby at her age, it's her. I said, what? That's crazy. I would have loved to hear that from his mouth.
Yeah. Because like they're just looking and they're comparing us all. I have Hashimoto's.
And I get.
Yeah, like, I get it.
They have to manage expectations in a highly sensitive situation. But don't come at me reading me a piece of paper.
Negative. Yeah. Like your hormones and my hormones are different. I have Hashimoto's, which I got from the delivery. And with that, it's all about thyroid. So like my panel was like, my TSH, which should be under 2, was 96. The doctor's like, I don't even know how you're walking. And I'm like, because I'm a single mom and I don't have a choice. So when we went through those, I realized, oh, my normal blood work needed to be under like 1.2. That's when I feel great. And everybody else was like, we just have to get you to like 2.5 and you'll feel better. No, my hair was still falling out. My nails were breaking. And it's like, it's to the individual. Yeah. And you finally find that usually a female who is a functional medicine doctor or who like specializes in maybe Eastern medicine. And they're like, oh, let's find out what works for you specifically. And that's a total game changer. Yeah. And the other thing is, after my delivery, I was bleeding for like, and you bleed for a while. They tell you that. I was still wearing a diaper at night on week 4. And I'd been telling my other friends who'd had babies, they're like, dude, that's not normal. I'm going through like 8 pads a day. And like, that's like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm bleeding out.
Yeah. So I keep calling. So I made 4 different phone calls. I was overreacting. It's your first child. You don't know what to expect, blah, blah, blah. So I end up going in there. I did not have an appointment. They would not make me an appointment. And I said, I'm bleeding. And I made a stink in the lobby. And I go, I'm still wearing a diaper on week 5 now. And I'm going to die. So and I already hemorrhaged at the delivery and you guys didn't give me a blood transfusion, which the other doctor said I should have had. So I need you guys to check me right now. Sonographer, who's like shaking because I think I was so loud in the lobby. She's like shaking as she's like checking it. And she looks at the screen for 2 seconds and goes, excuse me, I'll be right back. Runs, gets the doctor. The doctor comes in, looks at it and he goes, we need to prep you for emergency surgery. You have a retained placenta. So also that's why I wasn't producing enough milk because my body still thought I was half pregnant. The placenta
part of the placenta
was
stayed
still
in
attached.
Your body.
By the way, they usually catch retained placentas within 24 hours. The fact that this was in my body 5 weeks and 4 days.
Well, you were overreacting.
I was overreacting. I'm like, I could have died. And the doctor was like, if we don't get this out now, my mom had to fly in. It was like a whole thing. I lost all my milk supply. Like it was, and that like robs you in a different way if you want to breastfeed. Yeah. It's just like a whole thing. And I'm like, all of this could have been prevented. If, I don't know, you don't make women wait 6 weeks to check on their dinner size hole in their plate vagina.
Right.
It's like insane.
Yeah.
It's
but
crazy.
if a guy's dick doesn't work, I can guarantee you there's several different medications that we can prescribe and other therapies that they can go through and anything that,
Oh, and then when they were tested for birth control, they got headaches, so they stopped the trial.
Well, obviously.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
But
so glad we talked about this. This is great.
good.
What would you say was your medicine to heal from that? Because that's a huge trauma.
I think it took time and comedy, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny because it's like trauma plus time equals
Is comedy.
comedy. But for me, I kind of just needed the time more than anything, and then knew that I was funny,
Right.
and knew that I was like I had enough trauma in my life to talk about.
Yeah.
Starting with me, and that's what I did. I just started talking about the things that I knew best, and
Do you talk about this in your set?
I don't talk about the ovary torsion. It's a while ago now.
Yeah.
But I have to, like I always say, comedy saved my life in more than one way.
Right.
It's just where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you have to. It's like I always say, like it was probably one of the lowest moments in my life.
Right.
Not just from the torsion, just
Everything.
It was a perfect storm.
Right.
And you sometimes gotta really figure out what you want. You gotta start with nothing. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you just need that clean slate.
Right.
And that was my clean slate.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, like the silver lining of it.
Yeah.
What would you say is the funniest lesson you learned?
Just always have a bra on before you call 911. Always have a bra on. It was just, I would say, be able to say your name before you call 911. But you do not go down 1 year older.
No.
I stay by
love
that
that you
rule.
yelled out 32.
I was like, there are two. And she was like, oh my God, this girl is correcting her age right now. Well, she's like, are you on drugs? Are you pregnant? What is your name? I'm like, 32.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me. I
Oh my
hope, if
God.
anything, people get like insight. If you're feeling pain,
Just go in.
just go in.
Just go in. I even went in and nothing was wrong. And
Yeah.
I still would say go in.
Go in. I had
Yeah.
a friend having a heart attack in the ER.
And it was a widowmaker, which is fucking the
Mhm.
chances of survival are so small.
She had shoulder pain, ladies. Shoulder pain.
Yeah. And just look
It
up
was
the
like
symptoms for, and they just need to do more research on everything. Like even like the stuff that they're spouting on social media now, which is like, this is how you lose weight and it's intermittent fasting and it's all that stuff. Well, now they found out that intermittent fasting for women, the majority of the time, unless you're already like an athletic build, is not good for you because it's starving your body and then you store it because we're supposed to store fat to be able to produce, to keep children alive and to be able to function that way. Men don't do that. That's why they get shredded. And I remember when I first moved to LA, I had 3 guy roommates. And we all decided to go on the master cleanse where you drink like the salt.
cayenne.
Yes,
and
the cayenne, the lemon, that.
honey.
But in the morning, we had to chug salt water in the morning. And all 3 of them ran to the bathroom. It was like, gives you diarrhea, cleans you out. Me, I had constipation immediately. And the guy, one of the guys lost 8 pounds. One of the guys lost 6 pounds. One of the guys lost 2 pounds. I gained 3 pounds.
Yep, there we go. Water.
And I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, are you cheating? I'm like, I'm not. I'm the one who's making the recipe for all of us. I'm not cheating. But it was like,
my body doesn't work this way.
Yeah. But that was tested on a bunch of men. And then they said, oh, it's good for everybody. It's like, we are so different, dude.
So different.
From head to toe.
And like woman to woman, you got, it's like, getting care specifically for you. You really need to be your own app. That's why I'm like, give me the information. I'm terrible with science. But like, break it down. Let me, let me figure out what feels right for me.
Right. That's awesome.
Where
can people follow you?
Oh, you can follow me at Tara Jokes, because not many people can say Cannistraci the way you can. So I've made everything Tara Jokes, tarajokes.com. I'm on tour now. Really looking forward to all the cities I'm going to be visiting this year. So
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll have to follow you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. You guys can check me out at The Funny Thing Is on all the socials, or at Nicole Birch Comedy or NicoleComedy.com. And I'll see you again next week. Advocate for yourselves, ladies. Bye-bye.